We're going to start Daled Amid Aleph. Vacha Breid Rav Omer. Yeah. Thank Hashem. We're able to learn every day. We're learning. Okay, we were talking about the prohibition of Bal Ta'acher by Nazir. The prohibition of not to delay normally not to delay sacrifices. So we said that if someone takes a vow, so he has the prohibition not to delay the sacrifice that he vowed.
Yes, until the
third holiday. What about, so then we did a comparison of the vow to Naziris. So the same thing applies to a Nazir. Only problem that he can't delay. Only problem is we asked that when someone says that I accept on myself to be a Nazir, so he becomes a Nazir immediately. What do you mean he can't delay? It's too late. So we thought maybe what it means is that when he accepts on himself that he's going to be a Nazir when he wants to. So he's delaying it because he didn't want to. So, but that's not considered a violation, because if he had a stipulation there, if the stipulation doesn't play out, so then it's not a violation. So why should that be considered a delay? So we thought maybe it meant that he says he's going to become a Nazir right before he passes away.
Oh,
We thought that would work. We said that maybe that means he's a Nazir right away. That was a possibility, that was a pshat. Or maybe that was a good answer. Ravacha Bar Yaakov gave us a pshat that he became a Nazir in a cemetery. So, and then he delays by, if it doesn't start right away, he hangs out in the cemetery for too long. I don't know if that means 3 holidays, but or he just delays leaving the cemetery. But we said that that's not going to work, because there's some opinions that say that he does become a Nazir. Then the Gemara says, actually, everyone says that he becomes a Nazir immediately. So what do you mean he's delaying? He became a Nazir. So we said, well, he's delaying his Nazirus impurity. So, okay. Rav Ashi says, if that's the case, then every Nazir that becomes Tameh has just delayed his Nazirus impurity. So he violates Bal Ta'acher. Now we have another pshat. Says that what he's violating is he's delaying his haircut after the Nazirus, after the 30 days are up when he became a Nazir. So he has to take a haircut. He has to shave off all his hair. So now the Gemara says, after he cuts off his hair, he brings the sacrifices. Well, actually, he brings the sacrifices first, and then I think then he cuts off his hair. Is that correct? First, he brings the sacrifices, and then he cuts off his hair. I think so. Yeah, I think it's right after he brings the sacrifices, he cuts the hair. So it would work like this: that there's 2 opinions. One opinion says, when is he allowed to drink wine? After he cuts the hair. Other opinion says, no, he's allowed to drink wine already from sacrifice. Sacrifice was first. So what's happening now is we're saying that what he's delaying is his haircut, which is affecting his drinking of the wine. So he said, but not only according to that opinion, that only allows him to drink the wine after he has his haircut, but even according to the other opinion that says he can drink wine after the sacrifice, even if the haircut doesn't affect him from drinking the wine, but he still did not fulfill the mitzvah of shaving his head, which is something that he delayed. So that would be a Bal Ta'acher on the haircut.
So Bal Ta'acher refers to both initiating and ending the Naziris.
We thought it was initiating, according to Rav Acha Bar. Who is this? Ravacha Breder of Ikka, it's the ending of the. See, according to the other opinion, according to Mar Baravashi, not Mar Baravashi, according to the way we explained Ravacha Bar Yaakov, that it was Bal Ta'achar was that he wasn't doing the Nazirus Petahara.
Initiating.
That's initiating all. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's no, because he already started the Nazirus Petahara. Then he becomes Tamei, and then we're saying, well, at least according to Ravashi. Okay, whichever way, I guess it would be the completion of his Nazirus. Okay, that's according to this opinion, right? No, what you're saying in the halacha, it says that. Okay. 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 Okay, fine. What we're learning is that there's a prohibition of Bal Ta'achar to postpone the shaving of the head, even though it doesn't affect his drinking of wine.
Okay. Is the drinking considered delaying? He ends his thing, he drinks, that's delayed the shaving, right? Is that considered a delay, or that's part of the process?
No, the shaving was supposed to come before the drinking.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
But if he's allowed to drink before, then it seems like the shaving of the head doesn't matter. We're saying no, even if it doesn't matter, that even if it doesn't affect the drink of the wine, but there was still a mitzvah to shave the head, which he didn't perform.
He's delayed it.
Because he's delayed it, right?
If I get this right, he says, he claims, he vows that he is going to be a Nazir in the future, and then he drinks wine.
No. He vowed to become a Nazir. And became a Nazir. He finished the Nazirus.
Oh, okay.
And he brought the sacrifice. But he didn't shave his hair. Yeah, the hair he was leaving on. He said, but there's a mitzvah to shave the hair. If he delays that, that's a prohibition of Bal Ta'achar.
Does he get anything for having delayed?
I guess violating Bal Ta'achar would be lashes.
It's lashes.
I think so. Oh, because there's no Misa?
There's no mice.
Huh.
It's a law without a mice.
You're right. You're right. Love shame by Misa.
Negative, but there's no action.
Right, that makes sense.
Right, it's an inaction.
Lack
Lack of
Okay.
action. So there's no punishment.
That's
for
what
it?
it sounds like.
Oh, okay. Doesn't have to repeat his Nazarite.
No. Marzucha Breder of Mari Amar, Marzucha, the son of Rav Mari, he says a different shot. He says, Eifer Bal Ta'achar Karbanisa. He says that he's delaying the sacrifices. The Nazir has several sacrifices he has to bring. Okay, so now we didn't really say that how Bal Ta'achar works by the Nazir. We know how it works by sacrifices. By sacrifice, it works with 3 holidays. How does it work by the Nazir? We didn't really say. Maybe it's immediate, maybe it's also 3 sacrifices. But here we're saying that it's he's violating you're not allowed to delay the sacrifices. It says in Hachanafkale, and now you're telling me that you're learning this from the comparison to Nedarim. If it's sacrifices, then we're back to the original Bal Ta'achar. Mehasam Nafkale, Kidar Shidushenu. The pasuk says that you're not supposed to delay, and I will seek it from you if you delay. That's actually the pasuk of Leisa Acher is the same pasuk as Kidar Shidushenu. Elu Chatais Vashamis. This is the Chatas and the Asham. It says that you can't delay the sin offering or the guilt offering. It turns out that a Nazir actually brings a Chatas and an Asham. Those are the 2 offerings that you're not allowed to delay. Well, you're not supposed to delay the other offerings as well, the gift offering or the peace offering or the burnt offering. But we have it clearly derived from the pasuk that a chatas and an asham is not allowed to be delayed. And you don't need the comparison to Nedarim to tell me that the Nazir can't delay his sacrifices. Mar says, well, it's not so clear. Because I could have thought that maybe a Nazir is different. Because a Nazir has a unique halacha. It's a chiddush. It's a novelty. Something that doesn't apply to other sacrifices. And I could have thought that maybe even though there's a general rule that all sacrifices are not allowed to be delayed, maybe the Nazir has this, because the Nazir is different, a Nazir would not have that prohibition without the comparison to Nedarim. So I need the comparison to Nedarim to tell me that the Nazir also has that prohibition. Where it says, well, my chiddush. What are you telling me is the novelty of Nazir, that because of that, I need the comparison to Nedarim to tell me that there's a prohibition. And Nedarim is a vow. We're dealing with the vow, with the laws that we know apply to a vow. We're now comparing it over to the Nazir. So that comparison is what we're discussing. Do we really need that comparison? If we're dealing with sacrifices, so we have that comparison anyway. We have not the comparison. We have the law anyway, because the sacrifice has that law. He said, well, maybe Nazir is different. Well, maybe you know what's different about the Nazir? Bless you. That the Nazir cannot pledge someone that's not a Nazir cannot pledge the Nazir sacrifice. Can't just say, I'm going to bring a Nazir sacrifice. If it's not a Nazir, he can't do that. So you see, a Nazir sacrifice doesn't always work. Because someone can't. It's not something that could be pledged unless he's a Nazir. So that being the case, by other sacrifices, they can be pledged. Anyone can pledge a peace offering or a burnt offering. So over there, you have a prohibition not to delay. But over here, because there's a leniency that it doesn't get pledged unless he's a Nazir, so then maybe the rule of delaying also doesn't apply. So I need the comparison to tell me that the rule of delaying applies as well.
When it says delayed, does that also mean the third holiday?
Yeah.
Okay, so technically there is a delay, but not like a 3 or 4 year delay.
Right, it's the 3 holidays delay. Where it says 1 second, Rechatas Chelev. This is not unique to the Nazir. Every chatas, every korban chatas, the chatas that's brought if someone does a sin, every sin offering. Chatas, it's called chatas chelev, even though it could be any sin. Chelev is the forbidden fat. That's just the example. That is also not just a person can't say, even though I didn't violate any law, I just pledge a sin offering. Can't do that. Unless he sinned, then he can do it. Same thing with the Nazir. Unless he's a Nazir, he can't do it. So we don't really have anything unique about Nazir so far that we would say that the rules of delaying don't apply. So what is the novelty of Nedarim that you're telling me that without the comparison, I wouldn't have known this? Well, Sal could have entered your mind to say, could have thought like this. We have a unique halacha by a Nazir that says, if he says, behold, I'm going to be a Nazir, I'm going to separate myself from grape seeds. Here he says, even from grape seeds. So he becomes a full Nazir. In other words, the grape seeds that he mentioned is just like a detail of being the whole Nazir, of being a full Nazir. He becomes a full Nazir. So
I mean, they have seedless grapes.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the issue. I think what it means is not afilu min achartzan, even from, I think the afilu is going on if he says that he's going to be a nazir from one of the items that a nazir is not allowed to have. And even if it's just the seeds, which are the most minimal amount of the prohibition of what a nazir is allowed to have, so then all of Nazirus takes effect. You can't just limit it to just the grape seeds. It becomes a full nazir. Even if he just says grape seeds, which is like the smallest part of this.
And if seeds aren't available, or they stop growing those kinds of grapes, then he's better neither over nothing.
Right, it wouldn't be relevant because he doesn't have grape seeds anyway. But what we're saying is, right, but we're saying is that he becomes a full nazir. He can't have grapes, he can't have wine, he can't become contaminated just because he said he's not going to have grape seeds.
Yeah.
You would have to hear kiddush from someone else, or kiddush on challah. And those is allowed to drink other alcohol. You can have beer, you can have whiskey, vodka. No. You can have raisins also. So, because this is a unique halacha to a nazir, I could have thought that maybe the rules of Bal Ta'achar don't apply. And so therefore I need the comparison to Nedarim to tell me that Bal Ta'achar applies. 1 second. What you're telling me, you're right. It's a unique halacha. He says he's a nazir just from the grape seeds, becomes a full nazir. That's only one opinion though. Rab Shimon's opinion is that if someone wants to become a nazir, he has to say that he's not going to have anything. That the nazir is not allowed to have. He can't say just one detail. So according to him, this whole rule is not unique. According to Reb Shimon, Void. And another question is, Hi Chiddush l'chumrahu. What are you telling me? This is a chiddush. What were we looking for? We were trying to find where there's a leniency by the nazir that would tell me that maybe the rule of not delaying doesn't apply to the nazir because the nazir is more lenient. So what you did was you told me a unique rule by a nazir where a nazir is more strict. So if a nazir is more strict, then for sure it applies. If it has a strictness, not a leniency. So you brought the wrong proof. So what would be the novelty of the nazir? Because it could have entered your mind to say, you have a leniency like this. That one of the 3 sacrifices that he brings more than that, but either the chatas, the oila, or the shlamim. If he shaves his head after he brings just one of the sacrifices, not all 3 of them, he was yatsa. So I'm seeing a leniency here that he can already do the shaving before the rest of the sacrifices are brought, just after one of them. So I could have thought if that's the case, that maybe there's no problem to delay the sacrifices because you see that he's allowed to shave his head before the sacrifices, and he's fulfilled his obligation. So maybe the rest of the other 2 that he didn't bring, he could delay them. Kamash Malan. So now I need to have the comparison to Nedarim that tells me that although we're dealing with sacrifices, but I could have thought that the nazir, he's allowed to delay the 2 of the sacrifices. So it comes to teach me that he's not allowed to delay. That it applies to the nazir as well.
Because I had the impression that it's not the case where he has to shave unless he brings a sacrifice. He could shave and then brings a carbon.
Yeah, he has to bring one of them, and then if he shaves, it's good.
So he has to shave after he
After the fact. Right. Does it have to be after all of them? No. But we see that you're able to delay some of the sacrifices. I could have thought that the prohibition of
But
delaying
what
doesn't
is-
apply.
I mean, maybe we'll learn it in the Sechta, but when is being Nazir over? It's after the time frame that he pledges.
right.
So, but that doesn't seem like it's the case. It seems like once he gives the carbon, it's over,
No.
because he can't-
After the time that he pledges, he brings the sacrifice.
After the time he pledges, can you shave?
After the time of pledges, he brings the sacrifice, and after the sacrifice, he shaves. So let's say he pledged for 30 days. When 30 days are up, he brings the sacrifice. After the sacrifice, he shaves. Now there's still more sacrifices that he was supposed to bring. Yeah, there's more than one. It's 2, 3, maybe even 4. So where does he bring the asham? Oh, is the asham, is that only when he's tummy? Maybe the asham is only when he's tummy. But there's a sin offering, a peace offering, and a burnt offering. So so any one of those sacrifices he could already shave. Okay. Iba Yasema. Another shot, if you want, you could say another explanation for why we need the comparison of the Nazir to the vow to get the rule that you're not allowed to delay the Naziris. My chidusha, what's the chidush over here? Mishum delay matfisi b'neder. Because a person can't pledge the sacrifice of the Nazir unless he's a Nazir. The Gemara says, we went through this already. We already said that that's not a uniqueness to the Nazir because no one can pledge any sin offering unless they committed the sin. So the Gemara says that's a different story. Don't tell me, don't bring that into the equation here, because chatas chelav kasya lechapara, chatas nazir l'mayasya. The regular sin offering is coming for an atonement. So granted, we can't pledge that because he didn't do the sin, he doesn't need the atonement. But the chatas of the nazir, we have a special rule that no one can pledge, even though it's not coming for an atonement. It's called the sin offering, but it's not. That's just because that's how it's brought. It's brought exactly like the sin offering, but it's not coming from a sin. Now, the Ran speaks out. We do have a source that says that someone that becomes a Nazir is a sinner. Sinner. Yeah, because he's taking on extra prohibitions that the Torah never prohibited him, and we don't want people to do that. So if that's the case, then maybe the chatas of the Nazir is becoming because of a sin. He says no, that's he looks at it like that's not a real sin. That's it's not a real sin. Ikka karban is not for a kapara. It is called the carbon chatas. It is called the carbon chatas. Duran has an interesting question. He says, what we did before is we did what's called a hekesh. It says in the same pasuk, the word neder, and in the same pasuk it says the word nazir. So that tells me that the rules of a neder apply to the nazir. What are the rules of the neder? The rule of the neder is that you're not allowed to delay. If you promise the pledge to bring a sacrifice, you're not allowed to delay. Same thing for the nazir. So now we're talking about the sacrifices of the nazir. Maybe I could have thought that the sacrifices of the nazir, the pledge doesn't apply because there's uniqueness to the nazir. The Ran asks, says, why do I need the whole juxtaposition of the word neder to the word nazir to get this? I have automatically. I have a chatas, a regular chatas, and I have a shlamim. And what I do is I'll make the I'll set it up. You know, we do comparisons. We do, if you have a law, what's it called when you get there's a precedent. If you're looking for a law, what is the law about this? So you look if there's a precedent to what that is. So the way the Gemara talks about this is called a mamatzino, or in Rabbi Shmuel we call it a binyanav. Well, we found it in one place, so we'll apply it to somewhere else.
If it's in the same pasuk, no?
Well, in the same pasuk is stronger. In the same pasuk would be called a hekesh. A mamatzino would just be, well, look, that's the rule over there. That's probably, if you don't specify, that's probably the rule by other things as well. So the Ran asks that if the rule by a sacrifice is that you're not allowed to delay it, so the same thing should apply to the nazar. So you're going to tell me, no, the nazar is different. So what's the difference by a nazar? He said the difference by the nazar is that you can't pledge a sacrifice of a nazar unless you are a nazar. So you don't know it. So that's where we're going to need the juxtaposition. Why do you need the juxtaposition? The chatas, a regular chatas, and a shlamim, both of them, and a peace offering, both of them have the rule that you can't delay. So whatever you're going to say is unique to the chatas but that's different by the shlamim. Whatever's going to be different by the shlamim, it's going to be not by the chatas. You're going to be able to get the common factor is that it's a sacrifice, and the sacrifice cannot be delayed. So we'll bring in the rule, the carbon of the nazar as well. So he says that we rather use a hekesh more than a matzad than just a precedent. The hekesh is stronger. Why? Because a matzad, whenever we do a precedent, we find it over here, so the same thing should apply. If you have the slightest question, it knocks it off. The binyanav is not a strong limud. Once that's in general when you're dealing with the precedent. The way you say that it doesn't apply, is you say, well, that case is different. Okay. Easy to dismiss.
Does hekesh need a word?
Hekesh is always with the word. Yeah.
Honestly, hekesh should have the 13 different logical ways.
Yeah. So it's actually not in there because there's difference of opinion about how to use this. Yeah. If you look in the beginning, we have it here. Beginning of the Mechilta, you'll find that there's actually 30 ways. And Rabbi Shmuel holds there's only 13. But the other opinion says that there's more. The hekesh would be more.
Hekesh, you once said, is supportive, but it's not as much as like Ada, which I forget what it's called, where Mamish learned.
That's a Gzeir Shavah.
Gzeir Shavah.
Yeah.
So it's big, it's
Right, it's a
great.
step down. Okay, Gzeir Shavah is when I have two, not in the same pasuk, but I have two words that are being used, and I'll apply the rule from one of them to the other one. Okay. So therefore, what we're holding right now is that a chatas of a nazar that doesn't come for an atonement. So I would say that that's considered a leniency, that no one can pledge it. By a regular chatas, the fact that no one can pledge it unless they've sinned, that's because it's coming for an atonement. But the fact that this chatas no one can pledge, even though it's not coming for an atonement, that would be a leniency. And therefore, I would think that maybe the rules of delaying it don't apply. The Gemara says, 1 second. I have another chatas. The chatas of a woman that gave birth, a sin offering of a woman that gave birth, also doesn't come for an atonement. Nevertheless, you have Bal Ta'acher there. Oh, you have Bal Ta'acher by this sacrifice. So then why are you telling me that I would have thought that by a nazar there's no Bal Ta'acher? Whatever is unique about the nazar is also going to be by the sin offering of the woman that gave birth. And if Bal Ta'acher, do not delay the sacrifice, applies to the sin offering of the woman that gave birth, it would apply to the nazar as well. We're asking, so why do I need the comparison to Nedarim? To teach me that there's a Bal Ta'acher. The Gemara says, The woman that gave birth is not allowed to eat any sacrifices until she brings her own sacrifice. So if Pesach would have arrived and she has not brought her sacrifice, she wouldn't be allowed to eat the carbon Pesach. Sort of like she was, as if she was impure. Someone that's impure can't eat it unless the whole congregation is impure. Yeah, she would end up doing a Pesach Sheni. But what we're saying here is that just like we said that there's a regular sacrifice that no one can pledge unless they committed the sin. We said, don't bring that into the equation because the regular sacrifice is coming for an atonement. And that's why no one can pledge it. So the Yeledus also that no one can pledge that. And it's not coming for an atonement. It's also not coming for an atonement. So that seems to be very similar to the Nazir. It's not coming for an atonement. I said no. It's more similar to a regular chatas than it is to the Nazir's chatas. Because just like a regular chatas has a function that it brings atonement, the chatas of the woman that gives birth also has a function that it allows her to eat from a carbon. So it's more similar to a kapara. And therefore that leaves the chatas of the Nazir as something unique that no one can pledge it. It's not for a kapara. It doesn't stop him from eating other sacrifices. And nevertheless, no one can pledge it. Maybe that's the uniqueness that says that there's no bal ta'achar by the carbon of the Nazir. There's no prohibition of delaying it without us bringing in the comparison to Nedarim that tells us there is a prohibition. Okay, well,
this idea that she is impure, that's in the Torah also? Where is that derived from?
My comparison to her not bringing a sacrifice before she brings, or not eating from a sacrifice before she brings her carbon, I just said that's as if she's impure, but that's not in the Torah, that comparison. I'm just saying that when someone's impure, they can't eat the sacrifice. If they have to bring a sacrifice, it's called mechusar kapara. They're lacking the sacrifice, and until they bring it, they can't eat from other karbanos. So this would be like a carbon that would be an obligation, would be a carbon pesach. She has to eat from, she still can't eat it until she brings her sacrifice. Okay. Ron asks a question. He says, when the Gemara started out, it said that when a woman gives birth, she brings the sacrifice, it's not coming for an atonement. The Ran asks, it is coming for an atonement. We have an opinion of Reb Shimon that he says that when a woman is giving birth, she makes a vow that she's never going to be together with her husband again because of the pain that she's going through in labor. She says, I'm never doing this again. So when she brings her sin offering, why did she bring a sin offering? Because she did do it again. And she became pregnant again. And now she's bringing she had another baby. So she has to bring a sin offering. So the Ran says that you can't say that that's really the reason for the sin offering is because of that vow. Because first of all, what about her first baby? Where she never took that vow before. She still brings a sin offering. And also you could have a woman, well, the Ran doesn't mention that, but that's obvious. You could also have a woman that very clearly did not say that she's never gonna be together with her husband again. Because, and I don't know, she had this easy labor or something. What the shot they call it? What's the pitocin? They give the pitocin. So she had no pain anyway. She didn't make any.
Oh, he made that rule.
So, and nevertheless, she still has to bring the sacrifice of the sin offering. So obviously, the sin offering is not because of that vow. That's more like an agarata. It's not the actual reason.
How is that different from?
Sorry?
No, it's okay. I'll say.
Sorry, I didn't follow.
No, it's fine.
Okay, yeah, tell me again, Rebbe Lesser of Metz. That Oh,
And you still have to-
okay. Check if it says Rebbe Lesser of Metz, because Rebbe Lesser of Metz was one of the authors of the Taisvis, and this is a Gemara. Oh, I quoted from the Ran. He quotes it from Rebbe Lesser of Metz. I guess because Rebbe Lesser of Metz is earlier than the Ran. Where does he get that from, Rebbe Lesser of Metz? Let me just see if maybe because Taisvis quotes it like that.
We don't follow. Of course, and that's always lose.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see it here, but I guess he knows he has other sources. Okay. Amar Mar. We learned before. Master taught. Man nedarim ha'av mefer nidri bite bal mefer nidri ishtay af naziris ha'av mefer naziris bite ubal mefer naziris ishtay. Just like, remember we said that there's a comparison between a vow and another vow regarding delaying sacrifices and all of that. There's another comparison that just like when it comes to a vow, the father of the girl that took the vow or the husband of the woman that took the vow is able to annul the vow. So too, if a girl took or a wife took a vow of to be a nazir, the father or the husband can annul the naziris. See, no, I don't want you being a nazir. So I don't accept that vow. Okay. It says Lamali Kesha. Why do I need to have the juxtaposition of the two words in the pasuk to teach me this? We would just learn it from a mamatzino. If it works by nadarim, that's a good precedent that a father or a husband can annul the vow. I would say the same thing would apply. I don't need an actual word in the pasuk to teach me this.
You're saying you know it logically?
I would know it from a mamatzino. Mamatzino is a binyanav. Mamatzino means the word ma in Aramaic means just as, not what. In Hebrew, ma means what. In Gemara, it means just as we find. Mamatzino, just as we find here, so too it would apply over there. It means the precedent. Rabbi Shmuel calls it binyanav. Yeah. So, why do I need the hekesh, the juxtaposition of the words in the pasuk? I can learn this from a mamatzino precedent. It says Dilma gabe nedarim udemei from mishum loy islay kitzusa aval gabe naziris the islay kitzusa stam nazir stam yem emalai. Remember we said that when you're learning from precedent, you have a small question, it knocks off the whole thing. Say, well, this is different, right? That's how it works. But what was your term? It's not. No, you told me like the English word. It's not comparable. Anyway, over here we would say that if we would learn it from the precedent that we find by a neder, by a vow that the father or the husband can annul it, so too we would say the same thing applies to naziris, that the father or husband can annul it. But that's not a good comparison, because by a neder, if someone takes a neder that they're not going to do something, there's no limit on that. A neder that this is prohibited, or say, or would be a neder that the husband would annul. If she says, I'm not going to shower anymore. So showers are forbidden unto me. That's what she would say. So the husband would say, no, I don't accept that. I don't accept that neder. So there's no limit on that. So we can understand why the husband needs to get rid of it and why he's able to get rid of it. But when it comes to Naziris, where it's only 30 days, so it would say that maybe he's not able to get rid of it because it's just a temporary thing. So Kamash Malan, the Hekesh, to tell me that he's allowed to get rid of those Nadarim as well. He can annul that.
I heard that there's a certain time frame in which you could annul his wife's.
Yeah, it's
pledge.
only 24 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I forget, is it 24 hours or is it until nightfall?
That was like a month.
No. No. I forget if it's 24 hours or nightfall.
I think it might be. I think there's both.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it mentions both of them there, but I don't remember what the rule was. Okay. Okay.
And they also go back and forth with her. Like she could have made it like a month before, but if he just started today, like that's when.
Oh, it's from when he hears it, right? That's correct. Okay. Duran asks an interesting question. He says, if you're doing comparisons between a neder and a nazar, why don't we say that a stam neder is shleishim yaim? Question. He says you're comparing, you're saying that everything that applies to a neder applies to the nazar. So why don't we go backwards also? Why don't we say that if someone takes a neder that they're not gonna, I don't know, eat bread or something, going gluten free, that they don't, and they didn't specify a time limit. So then we should say that just like by the nazar, it's 30 days. By the vow should be 30 days. The Ran says you can't say this because a neder also has nidre hektish. Remember when we started, we said that there's two types of nedarim. There's a neder that someone can make for hektish. You can pledge something to the temple, and you can also make something prohibited on himself. And since when he pledges something to the temple, you can't say that it's limited to 30 days. It's pledged to the temple. That's it. So the same thing would apply to his own nedarim, that we're not going to say that there's a time limit on it. So
Do you know the source for this 30 days? Comes up in so many places that people don't specify something for 30 days.
I don't know.
But here, I think it refers to 30 days with Mr. House.
Right.
When it's someone else's, they can limit.
No, but for example, what I'm thinking of is if someone borrows money from someone else, you don't specify a time. The Torah implies it's for 30 days. So this comes up in other places. 30 days.
Here has some sources that talks about
With regards to annulling your spouse's or your daughter's vow,
With regard to
it's 24 hours. Why is that different than Shelley's example of not specifying?
You have what happens after 24 hours or the nightfall, whichever one it is it's as if he's agreed to it.
What's that?
If someone says something, yeah, if he's around, only if he hears it. Yeah. Only if he hears. It's 24 hours from when he hears it. So when he,
2 tens and 2 5s.
Whose comment is that?
Rob Masna.
what was that?
Rob Masna said, Amar Kra, scripture says, Kadosh Yeh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but the Matria was.
Yeah. That won't apply to the loans, right?
But it is interesting.
Okay. Ha'imel hachaverim moderni. We get very technical. In the Mishnah, we said that if someone tells his friend, "You are I am avowed from you." I don't know what avowed means. I'm separating myself from you in some way with the vow. Or he says, "I'm separating from you," or "I'm distancing from you." And the Mishnah went on and it said, that I eat of yours, that I taste of yours, it's awesome. Not that you can't make the vow, that he actually is forbidden to eat or taste from this person. Because he said he's avowed from him. Okay. Let's take a look at what's going on over here. We start off with an Amar Shmuel. Now, a lot of times when you have a Mishnah, right after the Mishnah, you have a first generation Amira that qualifies what exactly the Mishnah was referring to. It like adds in some a detail that what the Mishnah said only applies in such and such a case. So here we have Amar Shmuel the kulan, all of those examples where he said, I'm distancing from you, I'm separated from you, all of that only applies ad sheyoymar shani yoichalach shani tayimlach. If he just says, I'm distant from you, removed from you, avowed from you, he's not prohibited. When would he be prohibited from him? If he says, I'm distanced from you, that I eat from you. He has to add in the words that he eats from him to make it clear that what he's distancing means that he's not going to eat from him. Otherwise, it's not going to be us. Gemara says, Meisvei. Just to say I'm distancing from you doesn't take effect that there's a prohibition. It means nothing. He has to say, I'm distancing from you that I eat from you. Like
But
in regards to,
has to have an activity.
right.
I won't visit you.
Didn't
Talk to
we
you.
say that like
That could apply also.
someone who's I guess engaged can say that for like the dowry?
Oh
or
yeah,
something?
yeah. That was a whole complication in Ksubas. How he gets her the dowry if he took this vow, or how he gets her food because he has obligation to feed her. Meisvei, the Gemara has a question based on a brisa. Brisa said, there was a question on Shmuel's statement because the brisa says, "Mudani mimcha, I am avowed from you. Mufrashani mimcha, I am separated from you. Merchakani mimcha, I'm distanced from you. Areza asa." He's prohibited from having anything to do to any benefit from this person. Shani oichalach, shani tayimlach, that I taste to you, or that I eat from you, or that I taste from you. Areza asa. It's also asa. It's also prohibited. Well, the problem is that according to Shmuel, those are not two independent clauses. According to Shmuel, that's supposed to go together. When does he become prohibited to have benefits from his friend? If he said, I'm distanced from you in regarding to eating food from you. But here it says, if he says, I'm distanced from you, it's usher. If he says, eating food from you, it's usher. That means each one independently creates the prohibition. Where it says, Hachiktani, no, read it differently. When do I say that I'm distanced from you as usher? We adjust the brisa to fit it with exactly what Shmuel said. The only time he's going to be prohibited from his friend is when he says, I'm distanced from you, that I eat from you. That's what the brisa means. But when does mufrashani memcha work? That I'm distanced from you actually take effect? If he says that I won't eat from you. Gemara says, Vatani Ipcha. I actually have a brisa that says exactly the opposite. Shani yoichalach, shani tayimlach is asa. This next brisa says exactly what the first brisa says, but just in the opposite order. So the way we adjusted the first brisa is we said, if he says, I'm distanced from you, and we added in the words, when does that take effect? If he adds in the words, that I eat from you, then it's going to be a full phrase that means that he's not going to have benefit. But now that we have a brisa that says the other way, that I eat from you, that I taste from you. First it starts off that I eat from you, that I taste from you. It's usher. Mudrani memcha, mafrashani memcha, merachkani memcha. I'm avowed from you, I'm distanced from you, that I'm separated from you, I'm distanced from you. Areza asa, that's also usher.
Is that two different brises?
Two different brises.
Not the safe oration, safe.
Well, we're going to call it a resha, but we're calling it a resha according to the Ran, only because it was quoted first, but not because it's a resha. So that's the opinion that I've been studying.
But if he says
Maybe another
I'm
opinion to this.
separated from you, doesn't specify about,
About food.
could that
So
be
we
like
said
the-
Shmuel holds that that's nothing.
that can't be like the handle.
Oh, so we're saying
You said
that's
before,
that exactly this. Shmuel's saying that that's not a handle enough. It's what you said doesn't have enough meaning to even be a handle. So now we're saying in order for it to be a handle, he has to say that I eat from you. Problem is that I have a brisa that says that I eat from you, that I taste from you is prohibited. And then it goes on to say, I'm distanced from you, I'm separated from you. It's also prohibited. So how do
Without a verb? He just says without a verb, that I taste from you. That means, it means
Yeah, it seems like there's no verb there. That I taste. No, that is a verb. That I taste from you. Is that a verb? That I taste from you.
Well,
But he didn't say, it's really,
on him.
he didn't say,
For carbon, this is what he didn't say.
he definitely didn't say the word karba. That's why it's a yad. He's also, according to the way we're reading it now, that makes it easier on us, is that he didn't say the word not. She'eni. There was another version to this text where the Rishonim discuss which one's the correct version. But he didn't say that I do not taste from you. He just said that I taste from you. Yeah. And nevertheless, well, he says, I'm distant from you, that I taste from you. I understand what's going on. But he just says that I taste from you. Somehow that is some sort of implication that he means that it means a vow. What we're saying, yeah, that's what somehow that implies that it's a vow.
That's good enough.
It seems that that's enough, but if he just says I'm distanced from you without that, then that's not enough. The problem is that now we have a brisa that says that I'm distanced from you. It seems like it is enough. So it says tini hachi. You have to teach it like this. When would I'm distanced from you be enough? Ukvar amar. Mudrani. Oh, when instead of saying abamed dvarim amurim, what we just did is we just switched the brisa around. We said that when he says that I taste from you, it's because it's also when he said before, ukvar, he had already said that I'm separated from you, I'm distanced from you. That's when it's going to work, because he now says that I taste from you. Would Shmuel mean that Shani Eichelach itself would be a prohibition? I hear it. Maybe that, Daniel, maybe that explains it.
Yeah, it sounds like he said, I'm taking a vow that I eat from you.
Right. If he just says that I eat from you, maybe Shmuel would say that's also nothing. Clearly, Shmuel says it's nothing if he says I'm distant from you, and he doesn't say that I eat from you. Shmuel clearly says that that's nothing. But let's say he says that I eat from you. I'm not so clear. I don't know what that would be.
For example, in that example that I distance from you, like that wouldn't mean that like you don't see that person because it's unspecified.
It's not enough. He has to add in more. Explain what he means. The Gemara says, if you're telling me the brises are the same, then the brises are the same. Why do I need the second brisa to write it so unclearly? If it wanted to tell me that, it would have written it the way the first brisa does it, which is much more clear. After I add in the words Bamed Dvarim Amurim. But va'id asur lamali lamistnik. Why does it have to say two clauses that it's prohibited? It has the concluding rule on each of those clauses. If it's all one, so then why is there a concluding rule that it's asur? Ella Amar Shmuel, rather Shmuel says, "Time Adam Shani Echelach Shani Taim Lach Huda Asur v'Chaver Mutter." We're switching the whole understanding of Shmuel now. Shmuel didn't mean that there's no vow if he doesn't say that I taste from you. What Shmuel meant to say is that if he doesn't say that I taste from you, then the vow is going to go both ways. I'm prohibited to you and you're prohibited from me. If he doesn't specify that I taste from you, specifying that I taste from you means that I'm prohibited from you. Goes like this.
Because he said mirror cake.
He says, if he would just say Mefreshani Memcha, Merchekes, Merchekani Memcha, then that would mean that I'm distanced from you and you have to be distanced from me as well. As if he prohibited his benefit from himself on the other person, that the other person can't have benefit from him. But when he adds in the words that I taste from you, then it limits it just going one direction, coming from the person that he was talking to the listener. He's not going to have benefit from him. But if he would just say that phrase alone, that I'm avowed from you, they're both asur. exactly Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina was an early Amayra in Eretz Yisrael. This would fit with what Shmuel's saying, that Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina says that if a person says, I'm about from you, then that means that he can't have benefit from the other person can't have benefit from him. As we discussed this, let's give some names to make it easier. We have Reuven and Shimon. Reuven's the guy that's taking the vow, and Shimon is the bystander. So right now, what we just learned is that when Reuven says that I'm distanced from you, that I eat from you, then Reuven's not allowed to have benefits from Shimon. But Shimon can eat from Reuven's kiddush. He can have benefit. But if he just says, I'm avowed from you, if Reuven says that, then that would prohibit Shimon from having benefit from Reuven as well.
So that Brisa we were saying earlier about not being specific, that
We just got rid of that.
is not-
Yeah. We're actually, what we would say now is that, yeah, the unspecified that Brisa is accurate, even without the Bamed Bamar. Each one of those statements would be a full vow, possibly even stronger than when it's combined. When it's combined, those two statements combined, then it gets weaker. Tanan, it was learned in the Mishnah. Harini alecha cherem. Behold, I am to you cherem. Cherem means that it's like something consecrated to the temple.
It's cool. He's doing the reverse of the previous one.
Yeah,
He's saying, you can't touch me.
right.
Before it's like, you can't touch me.
Right. So what happens here is hamudar aser. The one that was avowed is prohibited. Aval madir, but the one that takes the vow, like he's permitted. He said, I am to you cherem. That means only Shimon is not allowed to have benefits from Reuven, but Reuven can still have benefits from Shimon. So now our question is here that we just said, Mudrani himach, I am avowed from you, meant that it went both ways. We have a Mishnah that says, Hareini alecha cherem, which basically is the same thing as I am avowed from you. And we said it only goes one way. The Gemara says, it's because he added in the words, I am on you cherem, but you on me not. The important little detail there. So that's why it only goes one way, because he added in that detail. Atalai cherem. Now we quote the further. It says, you on me is prohibited. Cherem is like consecrated, as if, in other words, you can't have benefits. At alai, you, not you can't have benefit. You are prohibited from, my benefit is prohibited from you. I can't have benefits from you. At alai, you're cherem for me. That's what it means. So then the rule is, the one that took the vow is prohibited, but the one that was avowed is permissible. So Reuven is prohibited now to have benefit from Shimon, but Shimon is permissible. Ask the question again. You told me that it works both ways. Are you telling me it goes one way? It says, it's because he added in the words that, but I on you is not prohibited. And that's why it only works one way. It's a very important clause that's just left out. But otherwise, it doesn't fit at all with what Shmuel was saying. Aval stamamai. But if he doesn't say that detail at the end, that you on me not, then shnei masurim. Then both would be prohibited. Hamidik tani seifa. But if you go further, what does it say? Harini alecha va'atalai shnei masurim. If he says I am prohibited on you and you're prohibited on me, then they're both usher. Why does he have to say that they're both usher? Why does he have to say? Why does he have to say you on me and I on you? Just one of them would have been usher. What just saying one of those statements would have made them both usher.
No, just your cherem.
Yeah, just cherem would have made them both usher. The Gemara says adinu d'shnei masurim. Hastama. But if it would be without specifying, who was b'chaver mutter, then it would really only go one way. This contradicts Shmuel. You have a question on Shmuel. Shmuel was saying that if he just makes like Midrani Memcha or Hareini Alachacherem, that would make both aser. Here we're saying not like that. Elahachiyat Meder Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina. Rather, what Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina said was like this: Mudarani lach, I am prohibited to you. Shneim asurim, they're both aser. Midrani heimach, but I am prohibited from you. Who aser v'chaver mutter? Then only he is prohibited.
Hey, what's the difference in that statement? I am.
To you
I'm
or
about-
from you?
I'm about to you. Oh, no, there's I'm about from you.
Yeah. So to you
To you
is both ways, but
is-
from you is only one way. When it says 1 second, Masnisen is from you. Mudrani mimach. It doesn't have heimach, but it says mimach. But our Mishnah says diktani heimach. That's interesting that our Gemara thinks the Mishnah says heimach. Our Mishnah said mimach, but okay, whatever the case is, it doesn't matter. Bukimna lemasnisen l'shmuel. What are you telling me? You're telling me that heimach is only one way, but I have our Mishnah, and Shmuel comes along to explain our Mishnah, but that's saying that when is it only one way? That only Ruvain would be aser. That's if he added in the words that I taste from you, that I eat from you. But if he doesn't do that, then it goes both ways. But now you're telling me that if he says I am a vow from you, it only goes one way anyway. Even without the word shani tayimla.
Well, he
It's a
says,
kasha
I
on
won't
Shmuel.
eat from you. So it's still
No, if he says I won't eat from you, then it's fixed. But if he says I'm avowed from you and I'm distanced from you, then we thought, according to Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina,
Oh, that's the generic.
that should go. Oh, even no, we're saying from Yossi bar Chanina that it still only goes one way. The problem is from Shmuel's statement, we thought that should go both ways. Elami kara de Shmuel hachiyatma. Rather, the original statement of Shmuel is like this: The reason why there's a prohibition is because he says that I eat from you. B'shani tayimlach. Who the ein hu aser ala ba'achila. That's when he's only going to be prohibited to eat. Hamadrani mimach. But if he says I'm avowed from you, aser afilu ba'ana, then he's prohibited to have any benefit. Now it starts to fit. The words are clearer. No, if he says that I eat from you, then he can't eat. If he doesn't say that he eats from you, then it's unlimited. It could be it's any sort of benefit. From distance from you, that means he can't have any benefit. That fits perfectly into the words of the Mishnah, right? If he says clearly that I eat from you, then the whole prohibition's on food.
Yeah.
If he doesn't say, if he doesn't specify that, if he just says I'm distant from you, then it's on any benefit, any pleasure. And you can't have any benefit from another person.
Nothing.
Right.
That's
Hihachi.
strong, though. That's really strong.
Yeah, but that's what he said. He said I'm avowed from you. He didn't specify just for food. Hihachi.
Careful what you say.
Lema Shmuel hachi.
No.
If that's the case, then let Shmuel say the following. Why did Shmuel say it the way he said it? Let him say it like this. Now I'm going to read it the way the Bach reads it, and I'm going to drop 2 words. So it says, V'im la yamar shani yoichelach shani tayimlach aser ba'achila. Oh boy, oh, that's a problem. You have to say aim. Take out the word ella. V'im la yamar shani yoichelach v'shani tayimlach aser afilu ba'ana. You have to change that achila to ana. Then it would be aser. If he doesn't say that, then he's aser ba'ana. See, the way Shmuel put it was the reason why there's an isser here is because he added in. It doesn't. It looks like it's headed one way, and then it switches to becoming stricter. It looks like it's being. It looks like it's headed stricter. Why is there an isser here? because he says Shani Tayim Lach. But if he doesn't say that, then it's even a bigger Isser. So the way that's being phrased is that why does what he said work? It's because that I taste from you. But if he doesn't say that, then it works even more. It wasn't the way this was headed. The way that this started out was we thought it was heading one way, and he switches. So the Gemara is asking, if that's the case, that it's much worse if he doesn't say Shani Eichelach, then let him say V'im loy amar Shani Eichelach Shani Tayim Lach Asar Afila Ba'ana. Why doesn't Shmuel say it directly? If he doesn't say this, then it's worse. You should just say it in that order. Rather, this is what it's saying. The reason why it's aser is because he says, because I taste from you. If he would just say that I'm avowed from you, then I wouldn't know that he can't have benefit from it. We'll see in a second. It's all the why can he not eat from him? Because he said, I'm not going to eat from you. But if he doesn't say, he just says, I'm avowed from you, I'm distanced from you, then that wouldn't mean that he can't have, does not mean that he can't have benefit from him. Why? My timer. What's the reason for this? Mudra nimimach. What would that mean? I'm avowed from you. I'm not going to talk to you. Mashtina means talk. Speak. But for Shani Mimach, I'm distanced from you. That means I'm not going to do business with you. I'm not going to stand in your 4 amas. Doesn't mean he can't eat from him. He can eat. The guy makes a kiddush. He can go over there and eat the whole kiddush.
You can't talk to him.
He's not going to talk to him. He's not going to do business with him, but he's still going to eat his food. Okay. Now, as we're going through what Shmuel said here, we're on our third try. Okay. Yeah.
Why does the Gemara bring in issue of Achille and Hannah and Chametz? It would seem that, just like you can with Chametz on Pesach, and we saw that you can with Hannah, and then we even have, Chametz Nukshin for things. I mean, it seems that somebody could have just brought that in here as part of the arguments. And said, you didn't have to say things because once it's this, everything would have been us, let's make up a heckish.
Is that when you disavow your company?
That's why.
I think we follow. Chizkiah, I think it was. Amr Rabavo, Amr Chizkiah. Kol makom shenemar leiseichal leiseichal. Echadis achila v'echadis hana b'mashma. It means both achila and hana. Until the Torah tells me not like that. So I think by chametz, I think we have iser hana from the leiseichal chametz. Now over here, all of them Sechnas Nedarim is just human language. It's really just determining, like, what does someone mean when he says this? We're just following what's it's Chazal telling us what's the mindset of the person when he uses those words.
So that's my question. So these are from people. They're usually used to, I'm not going to eat, I'm not going to, if I'm not from. So why can't we take it for granted?
From the Torah, that if it says I'm not going to eat, it means I'm not going to have hana. I guess because we're going to have to distinguish between the language of people and what it says in the Torah. That doesn't mean Dibra Adam B'Lashon B'nei Torah. B'Lashon HaTorah. Okay. Yeah, that's really what we're doing over here is I guess in law, it must be very complicated if there's legal terms that are used different in common language. There are, I know that in science, there's clearly words that, the scientific theory doesn't mean that it's the way I use the word theory. I have a theory. That means I don't know what I'm talking about, right? The scientific theory is supposed to mean that it's been proven, right? That's what they mean.
No, but the truth is that they don't know what to talk about too.
Yeah, but the word theory in my language and the word theory in their language are different. But in legal terms, it must be the same thing, that there's words that are, that the court would use that means one thing, and the way I use it is something else.
There's some circumstances in which the courts will try to understand what a person meant
Right.
with his normal language, and there are other circumstances in which there's certain words that have to be used, and if they're not, there are consequences.
Right.
Could it also be because like biblical Hebrew and then
Yeah,
the modern Hebrew,
clearly.
a lot of words are opposite.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the opposite, but yeah.
Some words are.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Lema Ksaver Shmuel. What's coming out now is that Shmuel's saying is that if he doesn't specify what the vow is, then Mikha's saying that it's not clear enough to be a full vow. If he says, Madrani Mima, I'm avowed from you, it's not really a vow that he can't have benefits from him. In other words, we're calling this intimations. It's right. It's a handle to a full vow. But the problem is this is too distant, too general to actually be considered a vow. So Shmuel holds that everyone holds that a yad works. But how specific, how compelling does the handle have to be does he just have to generally intimate what he means, or does he have to really say he's going to leave out the word carbon, that this is prohibited to me like a carbon? I understand that, but does he have to specify everything up until that point? So Shmuel must hold that yadayim shein mechiches, that a handle that's not, how do they translate mechiches? Compelling? Yeah. Ambiguous. Yadayim shein mechiches. Okay, that's good. And a ambiguous handle is not considered yad. Gemara says, yeah, you're right. In Shmuel Makam Masisin Krab Yehuda. He's going to follow. This is an earlier machlokes, and Shmuel is going to say that our Mishnah, unless it's really specified what he means to say, is not even going to be considered a handle because it follows the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Ditzanan, we have a Mishnah like this. Gufei shall get. What is the essence of the get when someone gives a divorce? He says you are permissible to any man. That's the get. When he writes in the document, what does it need to say in the document? It needs to say you're permissible to any man. Rabbi Yehuda says no, that's not enough. He has to say b'dain dehevi lechi minoi, in this that is to you from me sefer tiruchin v'geresh shivukin. Sefer tiruchin means a bill of divorce. V'geresh shivukin means in a letter of separation. Shivukin means actually of leaving you behind. Abandonment. Letter of dismissal. Tiruchin, dismissal. We add in one in the get. We add one more point. We say Hariat mutar l'chaladam, b'dain dehevi lechi minoi sefer tiruchin v'ger shvukin. We add in the word get piturin. A get of releasing. Document. The get means a document. The interesting thing is that sefer krisus in where is it in Parshas Kiseitze? It says that because of la sefer krisus v'nasan biyada, he writes her a bill of divorce and puts it in her hand. We have 3 targumim. We have Targum Onkelos, we have Targum Yonasan, I think we have the Targum Yerushalmi, and each one of those targumim gives us another one of these Aramaic terms. One of them is sefer tiruchin, one of them is ger shvuk, another one is get piturin. Yeah. Okay. So now the Gemara says, Amai dachik Shmuel lokmi masnisin krab Yehuda lokmi karabanan. What did Shmuel just do? He makes it that our Mishnah only applies if it's more specified. And then he says that our Mishnah is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Why doesn't he just leave the Mishnah alone? Say the Mishnah is like the Rabbanan, and it doesn't need to be specified. Why does he have to put it into Rabbi Yehuda's view when you could read the Mishnah like the Rabbanan. So,
Excuse me, that's not how I read the mission. I read the mission to be like there are 3 words from column A, dar, afresh,
right.
coke, and then it was with regard to food or with regard to drink.
Oh.
So I read it that it required this and that.
Right.
I didn't read the mission the way he did.
Right. That's interesting.
Well, that's how I read it.
So the Gemara says, that's a good point. The Gemara says, and it could be like that. He had a question on the Mishnah. Amai tani shani oichel lach, shani tayim lach. Listen, shani oichel, shani tayim. Why does he have to add in the word to you? Just say that I eat. I'm avowed from you that I eat. Why does he have to say that I eat from you? Why do you have to add in from you?
Yeah, because it says I vow from you that I eat from you.
Yeah, that's actually like to you. I avow from you that I eat to you. I don't know what the to you is. It's probably of you, not to you. That I eat of you. So why does he have to add that in? He already said mimach. It must mean that he needs to spell it out. This teaches me that Shmuel holds that it needs to be spelled out, and if it's not, if it's ambiguous, if it is ambiguous, it's not considered a handle. Okay, let's leave it over here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wow. It's a cliffhanger.
Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Have a good week.